Because diamonds are untraceable. We really don't know how many diamonds Biden's received, do we?
We don't. And for somebody who's been to mainland China probably 10 plus times, Hong Kong probably 15 plus times,
Yeah,
I had hundreds of people, Congressman, I had hundreds of people working for me in mainland China. At one point, I never got a diamond from any businessman or woman.
So, Mr. Bobolinsky, I shift quickly to a text message. Are you familiar with this? It's from a gentleman named James.
Generally, yes.
Yeah, it says, don't mention Joe being involved. It's only when you're face-to-face. I know you know that, but they are paranoid. And there's a response saying, okay, they should be paranoid about things. And then there's a response saying, for real. So what is meant by don't mention Joe being involved? It's only when you're face-to-face. I know you know that, but they are paranoid.
Well, I think it outlines how the Bidens operated, not specifically just with CFC. You have Galanis here testifying and numerous other witnesses that have given you a tremendous amount of evidence that outline they worked to obfuscate it, create layers of obstruction. That's the reason why Rob Walker was getting sent millions of dollars instead of Hunter Biden directly. That's the reason why Devin Archer was receiving millions of dollars instead of going to Hunter directly. You guys have a mountain of evidence that stacks high and answers that question on how they obfuscated. They lived in a world of plausible deniability.
Thank you, Mr. Bobolinsky. Mr. Chairman, my time has expired. I yield.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Norton from D.C. for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Galanis, thank you for appearing voluntarily for this hearing from Alabama. I understand you are currently serving a 189-month sentence in federal prison, almost 16 years, after being convicted of not one, but two, not two, but three different schemes. The victims of your schemes, as the judge who presided over your criminal prosecution noted, included, and here I quote, one of the poorest Native American tribes in the country, as well as pension funds held for the benefit of transit workers, longshoremen, housing authority workers, and city employees, hardworking people, everyday people, among others. The court also noted that you personally benefited from these schemes, and again, I quote, using over $8 million, almost $9 million, for lavish personal expenditures, including home expenses, automobiles, travel, clothing, jewelry expenses, and meanwhile, investors were left with nothing. But this is not your only encounter with prosecutors. In another case, the Security and Exchange Commission charged you in 2005 with accounting fraud in connection with your involvement with Penthouse magazine. And in 2010, you were convicted of attempted tax evasion and were sentenced to 5 years probation in order to pay nearly $2 million in restitution. In imposing your prison sentence, the judge noted that you are, and here I quote, an extremely talented man, extremely gifted in his interpersonal skills, uncommonly so. He is very persuasive as an individual, and those were the tools in his tool bag of the fraud he committed and the people he ensnared, his intelligence, his interpersonal skills, his charm, if you will, and this is something that is not unseen in people who are commonly referred to as con artists. Another judge who presided over your case referred to you as, quote, a skillful con artist. A skillful con artist, that is who my Republican colleagues are relying on to carry their water in this sham impeachment inquiry after their last star witness, the author of the infamous FBI Form 1023, was indicted for lying and outed as a likely Republican agent. It is time we put an end to this pathetic and desperate inquiry. I yield my remaining time to Ranking Member Raskin.
Ms. Norton, thank you very much. So for more than a year now, we've heard innuendo, rumors, propaganda, big lies, but no facts, no evidence that could reasonably support the finding of impeachable high crimes and misdemeanors against President Biden. In our first real impeachment hearing, the majority invited several expert witnesses who came together, and their witnesses agreed with that there was nothing that remotely approached the level of proof needed to support a finding of high crimes and misdemeanors that one would impeach a president for. And now we come back again today, and the majority has two witnesses. One, the designated con man as determined by two different federal courts, not without talent, but someone who deploys his talent towards the purposes of exploiting Native American Indian tribes, pensioners, and other innocent investors. And then Mr. Bobolinsky, who offers a lot of rhetoric and a lot of hot air, but absolutely no facts that could indict the President of the United States for high crimes and misdemeanors, impeachable offenses against the Republic. The kinds of offenses which James Madison said are great attacks on the Republic itself, great affronts to our Republican form of government. And nobody on their side can even tell us what is the impeachable high crime and misdemeanor, which suggests that they are moving in the direction of criminal referrals, and they should start by looking at their own witnesses. I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.
And I'd like to remind the ranking member and Ms. Norton, the witness, Mr. Galanis, was partners with Hunter Biden. That's why he's here. We have their partners. You could have invited partners, but you invited this guy.
Yeah, Donald Trump's partner, Mr. Parnas. So it was working with Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani.
Rudy Giuliani's partner. Okay, yeah, all right. Chair recognizes Mr. Groffman
Yeah, we got a variety of things I'd like to go through, but first, Mr. Lynch complained about Mr. Galanis testifying from prison. So I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record the Department of Justice's own press release announcing the sentencing of the Democrats' witness led Parnas to 20 months in prison for, among other things, making false statements.
Without objection on Donald Trump's partner.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Chairman, you know, we had originally hoped that we'd see a few more witnesses to here today. They're not here, but I would like to run a brief tape because I showed up today hoping I'd be asking these witnesses a little bit more about this tape. I know that you know, there's some mystery, or some people feel it's still ambiguous as to how this prosecutor was fired in Ukraine, and I wonder if this tape could do a little bit more to shed light on why that prosecutor was fired and why we want Hunter Biden and Mr. Archer here today.
And so I got Ukraine. And I remember going over convincing our team, or others, to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, what, 6 hours? I looked, I said, we're leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who...
I just wanted to put that up there because I do eventually want further efforts made to get Hunter Biden or Mr. Archer here, because we have Joe Biden himself bragging that they got rid of a prosecutor who would have provided his son's business dealings with a little bit more tough going, or more observation. I'll put it that way. Now, Mr. Bobolinsky, in previous interviews, in previous interviews with this committee, you said that Joe Biden not only knew about the family's business dealings, but enabled them and participated in them. You went so far as to say, it's clear to me that Joe Biden was the brand sold by the Biden family. Could you elaborate a little bit why you felt that way again?
Correct. That's one of the challenging things I've had to deal with over the last 4 years, with the focus of just simply telling the truth. The obfuscation around these facts are just beyond, beyond insane. So I'll use a meeting at the Four Seasons Hotel in Washington, D.C. that I was not at, but apparently 8 to 10 Chinese executives of CFC were at, with Chairman Yi and Director Zhang. Director Zhang I interacted with extensively. And James Gilliar was in that room, Rob Walker, Hunter Biden was in that room. And my understanding, based on Rob Walker's testimony, is that Joe Biden walked into that room, sat down, shook hands with people, and spent 5 or 10 minutes talking about his family, I guess. I was not in the room. People have tried to obfuscate that meeting like Joe Biden was walking in there to ask about the weather. And Rob Walker said that the Chinese didn't even know that Joe Biden was the former vice president of the United States, which is beyond absurd. The power that those 10 Chinese individuals had to go back to mainland China and say that they were in a room with Joe Biden is the value of what they were giving.
Okay. You stated that the Biden family concocted a scheme to give Joe plausible deniability. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, I would just point to all the different text messages and communications. They call him the big guy. I wasn't involved with Mr. Galanis or Mr. Archer, but they're giving you numerous data points. There was obfuscation. They didn't use his name. They used the big guy. You weren't supposed to talk about it. It was just a, you know.
And you personally met with the vice president?
I did twice.
Okay, and it was obvious. Did he say anything that indicates that you wanted him to help his son, that sort of thing?
Well, he thanked me for helping his son and his brother and asked me to keep an eye on them as I walked him out to his car after he gave his speech on the second meeting of the Milken Conference.
Okay, just one other follow-up, and this kind of may be a vague question, but I'd like to know it. One of the things that disturbs me about that is the interaction with the Chinese, or that's what we're dealing with today, but obviously other countries as well, that apparently in their own mind, the way you deal with the United States is the way you deal with say, a corrupt city council or something like that. In other words, you know, you give them money and you get what you want. Do you want to comment on that, or did you hear any stories about that, or did you hear stories that they were surprised how easy it was to buy the U.S. government?
Well, I think it was
but answer the question. But please feel free to answer the question.
Yeah, I think CFC, and there's tremendous evidence, believed that they were bribing the Biden family, and they were doing it via Hunter Biden.
It's kind of shameful. Thank you.
Very good. Chair now recognizes Mr. Khanna for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Parnas, can you tell me about your meetings with Dmitry Firtash and why you believe the Trump campaign used his services?
Yes, well, I was sent to meet with Dmitry Firtash because Dmitry Firtash had resources. He's an oligarch that was in Vienna waiting to be extradited to the United States, but he was very close with Vladimir Putin, Ukraine, and lots of characters in that part of the world. And my objective at the time was to have him help us lean on Mykola Zlochevsky and get dirt on the Bidens.
And what type of dirt were you trying to get?
We were searching for Hunter's hard drive that we were told was out there. We were searching for bank records to validate certain bank records that was given to me, Hunter's personal bank records that was given to me by John Solomon that he said he got from the FBI to validate certain payments that were going for car purchases. But the objective was to try to find a link from any of the payments that would go into Joe Biden's account.
And who told you to get this dirt?
Well, who told me? Rudy Giuliani.
Anyone else that you remember?
John Solomon. I mean, everybody that was part of the team. I mean,
Did Bill Barr know that you were involved in getting this dirt?
Absolutely. Bill Barr was notified of our investigation from the day he took office.
Did you ever have a conversation with Bill Barr of being lenient towards Dimitri in his role, in Bill Barr's role as Attorney General?
I personally did not, but I was witness to Victoria Tunzing and Joe DeGeneva having a conversation with Bill Barr about Dimitri Firtash.
What did they say to Bill Barr?
Basically, they were telling him that the charges were false and that he needs to drop the charges to basically end the case.
And why did they tell him to drop the charges on this Russian oligarch?
Because Dimitri Firtash was going to help us getting dirt on the Bidens or whatever else the Trump campaign needed.
So my understanding is you have the Trump campaign telling you to talk to a Russian oligarch to get dirt on the President of the United States for political reasons, and then someone from the Trump campaign is talking to the Attorney General to drop the charges because this foreign national is helping get dirt on a political candidate?
Absolutely.
Did Bill Barr indicate any willingness to drop the charges?
After a meeting that Victoria Tunzing and Joe DeGeneva had with DOJ, they came back and informed me that we're going to Vienna because to tell Dimitri Firtash everything's going to be okay.
Do you know if Bill Barr in any way told you to say that?
I was not privy to in that meeting, no.
Do you have any evidence that Bill Barr would have indicated to signal to Dimitri that the charges would be dropped?
Only from conversations from Rudy Giuliani or Victoria Tunzing.
And what did they say about what Bill Barr said?
They basically told me that this would be taken care of as long as Firtash played ball, and that's the message they relayed to me to tell Firtash.
And they said that Bill Barr was conveying that to them directly?
Yes, after meetings. There were several meetings. One, there was a private meeting at where Rudy Giuliani went and bumped into actually Bill Barr at the Trump International Hotel, and he used that as a moment to take him aside, speak to him. And then there were certain official meetings through official channels where Victoria Tunzing met with him. So yes.
Do you know anything if anything was done with the charges?
Till this day, Dimitri Firtash is not here.
Do you believe that Bill Barr should be investigated for his conduct in potentially dropping these charges?
I absolutely believe that, but not only that, I believe Bill Barr should be investigated into the cover-up and trying to silence me to get the truth out of what really happened in Ukraine.
And explain the cover-up and what you believe he should be investigated with your last minute?
My arrest was set up strictly to shut me up, to seal my documents, take away all my information, and turn me into a crazy man that had no way to prove what was going on. But the real story was Bill Barr was trying to save Donald Trump from impeachment and use me as a scapegoat. What he didn't realize was Donald Trump was not going to stop and was continue doing what he wanted to do, and that's why it blew up in Bill Barr's face. He also hired special counsel at the time, Brady, to look into Ukraine. When we tried to reach out with my attorney too, special counsel Brady, he never returned our phone call. Nobody wanted to hear anything I had to say that had to do with Ukraine, Donald Trump, or Rudy Giuliani.
Mr. Chairman.
Wait, with the gentleman.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Barnes, I just want to say you have stuck to the facts today. We don't hear bombast and rhetoric from you, but you're telling a true story, and you've conducted yourself with great purpose and great dignity, and I know your son is here with you today, and I hope he and the rest of your family are proud of what you're doing for America. Yield back.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Donalds from Florida for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. It's been an interesting hearing so far. Let's actually get to the actual paper trail of money flow from the CEFC into the bank account for President Joe Biden. And I want to start with a text message, July 31, WhatsApp text message between Hunter Biden and one Mr. Zhao. Real quick, Mr. Bobulinski, who is Mr. Zhao?
Congressman Donalds, I'd just actually like to spend 20 seconds. If you noticed, Congressman Khanna scurried out of here very quickly, and I'm actually disgusted as I sit here that he didn't address me based on the fact that I'm sitting here in front of the world trying to testify to the truth. In October 2020, I have messages I'm willing to produce to both the Democrats and the Republicans that Ro Khanna sent to me saying, you have always demonstrated to me that you're nothing but an honest with the highest integrity individual, and I was begging for him to go on CNN and tell the world in October 2020. I have extensive emails with Congressman Ro Khanna in 2021 and 2022 where I begged him and his staff to sit down with me and look at my BlackBerry phones that the Democrats are so focused on, to hire forensics experts and go through all of the factual information I had. So the fact that he did not even address me and then scurried out of here is disgusting to me.
Right.
Sorry, Mr. Donalds. I'll answer your question now.
All right, so we're going to have to come off of that because now we're at 3 minutes, 30 seconds.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, I want to submit into the record 2 different WhatsApp text messages. One, July 31, between Hunter Biden and Mr. Zhao of CEFC, which stipulates that Hunter Biden wants to be able to move on from and get the contract resolved, get the deal resolved, and that Mr. Zhao responds and says, yes, the CEFC is willing to cooperate with the family. On August 31, there's another exchange, this time, August 3rd, 2017, between Hunter Biden and Mr. Ganwei Dong. And in this message, they're talking about the stipulations of the arrangement between the Biden family and CEFC. I want to submit both WhatsApp text messages for the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection to order.
Okay, now to the money flow, because this is where the rubber meets the road. On August 3rd, they actually stipulate through WhatsApp text messages the exact stipulations of the deal. On August 4th, $100,000 is wired into Owasco PC from CEFC infrastructure. Mr. Chairman, I want to submit for the record a portion of the bank statement for the time period August 3rd of 2017 to August 31, 2017, stipulating $100,000 going from CEFC into the bank account of Hunter Biden through Owasco PC.
Without objection to order.
On August 8th, 4 days later, $5 million is then transferred from the Northern International Capital account of $5 million to Hudson West III. Hudson West III is a bank account controlled by Hunter Biden and Mr. Ganwei, a.k.a. Kevin Dong, who is a CEFC associate. That money comes from the Northern International Capital bank account that is tied to the CCP. Mr. Chairman, I want to submit for the record the bank statement demonstrating that transfer.
Without objection to order.
Okay, moving on. On August 8th, the same time period, there is a wire transfer of $400,000 to Owasco PC from the Hudson West III bank account. That $400,000, Mr. Chairman, I have the transfer records in the bank accounts from the August time period. I want to submit that for the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
Now, here's where the fun stuff comes in, everybody, and I got a minute to do it, so we're going to get this done. On August 14, there is $150,000 that is transferred from Owasco PC, which is controlled by Hunter Biden, to Lion Hall Group, which is controlled by James Biden. I have the records here, Mr. Chairman, of the $150,000 that has gone to Lion Hall Group from Owasco PC. I want to submit that for the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
On August 28th, and I believe we have a screenshot for everybody in the room. On August 28th, Mr. Chairman, we have the withdrawal ticket from Lion Hall Group that is signed by Sarah Biden, who is the wife of Jim Biden, for $50,000 to withdraw from Lion Hall Group. I want to submit that withdrawal receipt for the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
On September 3rd, on August 28th, actually, Mr. Chairman, we have the deposit reference into Sarah Jones Biden's account on the same day she withdrew it from Lion Hall. I want to submit
Without
that.
objection, so ordered.
Last document. On September 3rd, 2007, from Sarah Biden's own personal account, there is a check that is written to Joseph Robinette Biden, Jr., the President of the United States today, for $40,000, signed loan repayment. A loan repayment, by the way, that Joe Biden's own personal accountant, Mr. Eric Schwerin, has no record for. I want to submit that for the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, so ordered.
To the members of the committee, it is clear that the source of this money came from CEFC, and that CEFC is a company that is directly linked to the CCP and actually the chairman of the CCP, the chairman of the Chinese Communist Party, Chairman Xi Jinping. With that, I yield.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a UC request, if that's okay. First, White House for sale, the staff report of the minority side, which details the CEFC's business interactions with Donald Trump. They own a $5.5 million unit in Trump World Tower and others. And then the Department of Justice press release announcing the sentencing of Jason Kalanis in federal court to a term of 189 months in prison, ordering him to pay restitution of more than $80 million for 3 criminal fraud conspiracies against a Native American tribe, pension funds, and other investors.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair now recognizes Mr. Mafume for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'm sitting here and imagining what I would be thinking.